This is the day that the Lord has made. That the Lord has made. I will rejoice. I will rejoice. Oh yeah, y'all know this one, don't you? And be glad.
Luke chapter 18, and we're going to begin to read at verse number 1, and we're going to go down through verse number 8. Then I'm going to paraphrase more than likely the entire chapter. Then I may not. But Luke chapter 18, beginning at verse number 1, it says, "And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought to always pray and not faint." Now I need everybody to go back with me, since I've set the tone for the text. I need everybody to read this verse with me. You can fall out any place after that, but I need you to read this verse with me. Verse 1 again. "And he spake the parable unto them to this end, that men ought to always pray and not," don't quit, don't stop, don't fall out. "Saying, there was in a city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded him. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, Avenge me of my adversaries. And he would not for a while. But afterwards he said within himself, Though I fear not God, nor regard man, yes, but this widow troubled me. I will avenge her, lest her continuous coming shall wear me out. And the Lord said," hear what this unjust judge said, "Shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto me, though he bear with it long? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on earth?" Now I want to just start at, y'all could be seated. I want to start at verse number 8, and then we're going to reminisce a while. And I'm going to set my text, because I want you to hear what the last part of it said. He said, shall he find faith in the earth? When you're looking at prayer, prayer is just talking to God. It's not how eloquently you say something. It's how sincere you are when you release it. And so the text, as I break it out real quickly, just for the sake of having a title, being that I'm a very topical preacher, I think I would just like to say prayer is not an option, it's a must. Look at your neighbor and say, why we don't do it? It's amazing that no car would go beyond the distance of the gas that you put in it. And it doesn't matter how expensive the car is. It doesn't matter how good the roads are that it would travel on. But it could never go beyond the distance of the amount of gas. Gas is the thing that feeds the car, that makes it move, that goes into the motor, that, amen, recycles and mixes with the oxygenation of the air and then causes it to move. It's amazing that we don't pray. It's amazing. It's amazing that it has been identified in Christendom that about 83% of all people does not pray 3 minutes a day. So that's a mere 17% of all Christians. And then it breaks it down and goes a little bit further and says only 7% of all Christians spends at least an hour in prayer a day. 7%. So 93% of us, we don't talk to God as long as we talk to our friends. We'll spend time on the telephone and get involved in a business deal that will go a lot longer than most prayers will be in the run of a month. It's amazing how we can spend time watching TV, but the moment we kneel down to pray, we get sleepy. I'm in the house. It's amazing that your prayer is a must and it's not an option, why is it then that it is the less likely service to be attended if it's so important? Jesus, before he moved into a parable, he made a statement in Luke chapter 18 and verse 1. He said, men ought to always pray and not faint. Then he goes into this dialogue, amen, about this woman that was a widow and the king who was not afraid of God, nor was he afraid of man, but he got tired of her bombarding her with the same complaint. What are you going to do about them folk who've been messing with me? What about my adversary? They keep on bothering me. What are you going to do about them? The unjust judge, he looked at this situation. He said, I'm tired of her. So the best thing for me to do is answer her requests. He was saying, out of all the folk who have bombarded me and came to me and I beheaded and all the other, but this lady, she is troubling me with the same complaint over and over, and I'm tired of it. Jesus makes a statement and says, so, okay, if the unjust judge would do that, what about my children if they cried unto me night and day? Would not I speedily answer their prayer? Could it be that your prayers are not being answered because you are not bombarding heaven with faith? Verse number 8 in the text said, when I come shall I find faith in the earth. So it either you do believe that God is a prayer answering God, or either you don't believe that he will answer yours. So then, in this particular, amen, book, we see, amen, there was different, amens, of opinion, and there were different, amen, folk that, amen, was constituted in prayer. In verse number 9 down through verse number 14, we see, amen, that there was a publican, amen, and a Pharisees. Here it is, amen, that the Pharisees came to church, and he didn't feel like he needed to pray. He had already prayed on the street corners in front of everybody. He already had been so bodaciously, amen, honored in the street with his, amen, his robes and his phylacteries on. And then when he came to church, he just told God, hey, I'm all right. I'm not no adulterer. I fast 2 times a week. You know, I ain't like other folks, so I don't need to pray while I'm here. I'm all right. I'm all right. I've been doing this all week long. I've been on the street corner showing out. People walk past me, and I gather their attention with these smooth words that I'm saying, not understanding, amen, what prayer is. Prayer is a solemn request for help. Let me do that one more time. Now, it seems like God don't know everything. It's a solemn request for help. And then sometimes it is an expression of thankfulness when I address God in worship. So it looked like to me now, why do I have to pray if he know everything? Why do I have to ask him for anything since he know what I need? But it's amazing that God needs your participation in the earth realm for him to act on your behalf. Because God would never violate what it is that you do or do not want. You might not want God's best. That's why you ain't asked for it. You might not even believe that God is able. That's why you ain't said nothing. It's amazing that here it is, amen, that the publican comes to church. It's a sinner, y'all. The sinner comes to church. Don't even lift up his head. He's so embarrassed by his sins. He's so embarrassed by, amen, who he know he is, that he just smote his breast in the presence of the Lord. And then just started saying, Lord, I'm a sinner. You see what I'm saying? He quickly started talking about what he was. He wasn't trying to, point his fingers at what somebody else was and who they were. He said what he was. Then the scripture asks the question, which of the two of these men do you think left justified? Now you got to understand, justified is when God has forgiven you of something that you was not, amen, just of. You did it, but because God is so righteous and he's sovereign that he can forgive your sin and make them as if you never did them. Which one left? Justified. Not the one that walked in, decked, amen, all the way down from his head to his toes, blending. But the one that came in and recognized, I need help. It's amazing how many people come to church on a Sunday and needs help, but would never come to the altar, would never let nobody know that they got a need, would never pray out loud or even put in the right prayer requests. They'll pray about everything, but they ain't gonna pray about my need. No, my demons don't need prayer. Not openly, they don't. They just will secretly destroy me. Ain't nobody talking to me now. They're saying, help me now, Lord.